The little girl, no older than 10, stood beside a grave. Its stone, already choked by an insidious tangle of weeds, seemed to shudder, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor that ran through the cold earth beneath her worn sneakers. A whisper of wind, or perhaps something else, a breath held too long, a memory sighing from the very earth, stirred the dry leaves piled against it. For a fleeting, heart-stopping second, Lucy thought she felt it again, a faint, mournful humming, almost a vibration. And the ghost of a lullaby her mother used to sing, seeming to emanate from beneath the packed dirt. Just then, a guttural snarl ripped through the frigid air. "Still sniveling at this pathetic charade, are you, brat?" Richard Black, her stepfather, materialized from behind a gnarled, leafless yew, his face a mask of simmering rage, eyes bloodshot and menacing. He reeked of stale whiskey and something colder, a scent of malice that clung to him like a shroud. Lucy flinched, her small body tensing, but she stood her ground. Tears hot and furious streamed down her mud-streaked face as she mouthed the words that had become her defiant mantra, "Mom is still alive." Richard lunged his heavy hand, grabbing her thin shoulder. "She's dead buried. And if you don't stop spreading your poisonous lies, you'll wish you were too." He shook her the worn photo of her mother, fluttering from her grasp. "This town's pitied you long enough. They'll see you for the mad little nuisance you are." Onlookers, bundled against the city's biting chill, averted their gaze, their practiced pity tinged with an uneasy fear of Richard's notorious temper. But one man, emerging from his limousine to place flowers on a nearby meticulously tended grave, a millionaire haunted by his own ghosts, watched the brutal exchange, a muscle tightening in his jaw. And when the coffin lid, months later, pried open with agonizing slowness, would finally creak, the truth it disgorged would leave the entire town in a paralysis of stunned silence. Later that afternoon, as the city throbbed with the cacophony of rush-hour traffic and streetlights flickered to life, casting an unsettling, jaundiced glow over cracked sidewalks, Lucy Carter was hard at work. 10 years old, with a wild mane of uncombed hair and a faded, threadbare jacket that offered little protection against the encroaching winter, she knelt in a dimly lit, forgotten wing of the sprawling city library. She wasn't looking for books to read, but for discarded volumes or forgotten items she could discreetly salvage for a few coins. Today, hidden behind a stack of moldering ledgers in a dusty donation box Richard had apparently dropped off months ago, and forgotten she found more. Her small hands methodically sifted through refuse until they closed on a torn, almost unreadable receipt from a high-end electronics store listing a heavy-duty soundproofing kit and industrial locks. An odd purchase. Beneath it, something glinted, a small, tarnished silver charm bracelet with a single, intricately carved butterfly. It felt strangely cold to the touch, yet Lucy, captivated, slipped it into her pocket. The electronics receipt, though, pricked at the edge of her consciousness, its significance yet unknown. No home, no family. Just a fierce, unyielding spirit, fueled by scavenged leftovers, the meager earnings from her finds, and one unshakable, desperate belief her mother wasn't dead. Lucy's daily pilgrimage led her to the public cemetery sprawling on the city's southern fringe. She navigated rows of cold-weathered gravestones, their inscriptions blurred by time and neglect, until she reached her destination, an old, forgotten plot overrun with defiant weeds. The headstone, stark and simple, read, "Eleanor Carter, 1988-2017. From the depths of her coat pocket, she retrieved a small, pitiful bunch of dried wildflowers, their colors faded, but their gesture poignant. She laid them carefully on the grave and sank to the cold, unforgiving ground. "Mom, I came again." She whispered, her voice a raspy echo, but her eyes, an intense, unsettling blue, burned with unwavering conviction. "Richard was here. He tried to scare me, but I don't believe him. I saw you in my dreams. You were crying and you called my name. I feel like you're still out there waiting for me." Lucy gently touched the corner of the old frayed photograph, Richard had dislodged its edges, softened by constant handling. Her mother, Eleanor, a woman with a cascade of soft brown hair and eyes that crinkled with kindness when she smiled. She tucked the photo, her most precious talisman, back into her pocket, rose with a sigh that seemed too heavy for her small frame, and departed the cemetery, her silhouette shrinking into the twilight. Clutched in her thin plastic bag was a tattered folder, a desperate archive of a life stolen old documents, faded photocopies, a death certificate that felt like a lie, a blurred declaration of death, and a few miscellaneous hospital reports she'd painstakingly retrieved from a hospital trash bin. Amongst them was a cryptic, crumpled note, barely legible, found stuck to the bottom of a waste bin from Richard's study. Project Nightingale, final phase. The clinical jargon on the official papers was beyond her comprehension, but an instinct, primal and fierce, screamed that something was profoundly wrong. On her way back to the vacant lot where she slept, huddled behind an abandoned bus stop, Lucy paused outside a bakery. The warm, inviting glow spilled onto the street. She didn't beg. She never begged. Just then a sleek black SUV pulled up. A tall man, impeccably dressed, emerged. Nathaniel Thornton, 40 years old, a real estate millionaire. As he exited a high-end coffee shop, his sharp eyes locked onto an anomaly across the street, a small, ragged girl clutching a worn plastic bag. For a long, suspended moment, he froze. She bore an uncanny resemblance to his own daughter Amelia, lost years ago. His heart constricted. He'd seen her earlier at the cemetery, her stoic defiance. He remembered another, more fleeting, disturbing memory. About 5 years ago, hurrying past a high-end department store, he'd glimpsed a woman thinner, harried, but unmistakably Elena, being almost steered away by Gloria Black, Richard's mother, whose expression was a mask of proprietary disdain. Gloria's dismissive sneer as she guided her oblivious friends past had unsettled him, but he dismissed it a lost chance, now twisting his gut. Nathaniel crossed the street. "Are you out here alone?" "I'm not begging," Lucy stated firmly. "I didn't think you were," Nathaniel replied gently. "I saw you earlier, at the cemetery. And a photo? Who's that?" Lucy hesitated and then pulled out the worn picture and crumpled documents. "This is my mom. They say she died, but I think she's still alive. I have proof, or at least I think I do." Nathaniel took the photograph. His breath caught. Elena. His childhood neighbor vanished abruptly. He remembered Gloria Black, Richard's mother, always hovering, her eyes like chips of ice, subtly undermining Elena's family with insidious whispers. "What's your name?" Nathaniel asked, his voice hoarse. "Lucy. Lucy Carter." Their eyes met. "Are you hungry?" Lucy nodded. "Then let's grab something to eat and you can tell me all about your mom." Under a flickering streetlight, they stepped into a diner. It was the unassuming beginning of something much bigger. If that really is Elena's child, I can't walk away. Nathaniel listened as Lucy recounted her harrowing existence. At the library, finds the strange electronics receipt, the Project Nightingale note, the dreams. He opened her tattered folder. Inconsistencies on the death certificate were glaring. "Do you have anywhere to sleep tonight, Lucy?" She shook her head. "You can stay at my place. It's safe. Tomorrow we'll go through all this. If something doesn't add up, I promise I'll help you find the truth." Lucy nodded, a fragile trust forming. The next morning, in his opulent office, Nathaniel scrutinized the documents. No official stamp, a blurred doctor's signature, the date of death certification, almost a week after the reported time of death. A screaming red flag. The Project Nightingale note pulsed with dread. He called Lisa Monroe, a forensic pathologist. Less than 3 hours later, Lisa dissected the documents. The ink consistency isn't standard for official documents of this period. She murmured, her voice crisp with professional certainty, laced with a growing unease. "The formatting's off, and the listed cause of death is sudden cardiac arrest. No attached medical history. Nathaniel, this isn't a legitimate death certificate. At the very least, it wasn't processed through any standard channel. And this attending physician, Dr. Alistair Finch, his signature looks forged, and I can tell you with absolute certainty Finch retired 2 years prior to this document's date. He was in Costa Rica. So, it's forged." Nathaniel's voice was tight. Lisa's expression was grave. "Not just possible, Nathaniel. Based on the blatant use of a retired doctor's credentials and these formatting anomalies, it's fraudulent, potentially covering something far more sinister. This stinks to high heaven." A cold fury simmered in Nathaniel. That evening, in a small, clean motel room Nathaniel rented for Lucy, they spoke again. "I used to hear my mum calling my name," Lucy said quietly. "From the basement, through the door. Sometimes, she'd try to slip notes out, tiny bits of paper under the door. Just scribbles. Richard always found them. He said it was old paper blowing around. When Lucy, at night," she whispered. "When Richard was out, or after he'd been yelling. Then it stopped. He told me she went away, died. He said I was imagining things." She spoke of nights locked out of her desperate searches, of being violently thrown out when she tried the basement door. "My mum would never leave me," Lucy said, her voice unwavering. "I know she's still alive. I feel it. Every time I walk past that house, I hear whispers from the ground, from under the house." "Are you scared to go back?" Nathaniel asked. Lucy shook her head. "No, because if she's down there, I have to find her." The next day, he and Lisa returned to the hospital. After hours sifting through archives, Lisa returned grim-faced, an old file clutched in her hand. No doctor was officially listed as having examined Elena. Instead, a single line was highlighted: "Death confirmed by temporary administrative staff, per instruction from Director of Operations, Dr. Marvin Gray." "We don't do that," Lisa stated, her voice tight with professional outrage. "Only licensed physicians can certify death. And Gray isn't a medical doctor. He's an administrator with a history of flexible ethics. This is corruption pure and simple. Someone like Gray pressured a low-level staffer." Nathaniel stared at the file. Richard wasn't just abusive. He was hiding something monstrous. The Project Nightingale note seemed terrifyingly ominous. "We need to talk to Lucy again," Nathaniel said. "Tonight. Dean Holloway, my PI, is already digging into Richard and Gloria Black and Dr. Marvin Gray." Back at the motel, when Nathaniel relayed Lisa's findings, Lucy nodded. "I knew it." "Lucy, was there anyone who lived near your old house? Someone who might have seen something?" "There was Tommy. He used to live in the park. He told me he saw Richard carrying something like a big, heavy wooden box into the basement late at night. He said he saw a fancy car, not Richard's, parked down the street a few times. Late at night, a woman with very bright blonde hair sometimes getting out. He got scared." Nathaniel exchanged a look with Lisa. "We need to find that boy." That night, Nathaniel emailed Holloway Dean, "Intensify investigation on Richard and Gloria Black. Suspected faked death and unlawful imprisonment of Eleanor Carter. Look for connections to Dr. Marvin Gray and any associates matching the description of a blonde woman. Elena may be illegally held. Extreme caution. Check Project Nightingale." Lucy found a note. Could be a code. Eleanor Carter might never have left that house alive. "Are you ready?" Nathaniel asked Lucy. if it comes to it, to go back to that house. Lucy looked into his eyes. If my mum is down there, Mr. Thornton, I'll go back. 3 days later, Nathaniel returned to the neighborhood with Lucy. The house stood at the end of the cul-de-sac, a decaying monument to secrets. An elderly woman sweeping her porch spoke. Eleanor, a kind soul. After she married Richard, nobody saw her again. Heart trouble, they said. Did you ever see an ambulance, a hearse? No, she whispered. Strange, isn't it? But Richard said he had her buried elsewhere. No one dared question him. And his mother, Gloria. Her voice lowered. She's the real snake. Cunning. Visited often before Elena disappeared. Said Elena was unwell in the head. Cold eyes, cold as a tombstone. Lucy stood silently before the rusted gate, her gaze locked on the grimy basement window. She could still hear muffled cries. On the way back, Nathaniel took Lucy to a diner. He saw it with startling clarity. Lucy had Elena's eyes. Lucy? Nathaniel said softly. Would you like to know how I first met your mum? He recounted their childhood friendship, Elena's bravery, her family's sudden, unexplained departure, his unheard whispers about Gloria Black's influence. Lucy whispered, Now you've found me. Does that mean we're close to finding her too? Nathaniel nodded, a lump in his throat. Holloway's preliminary report that evening mentioned Project Nightingale. Appeared to be an internal code name Gloria Black used for untraceable cash withdrawals around Elena's death. He couldn't sleep. The old house pulsed with malevolent energy. A week later, armed with utility bill inconsistencies, an unexplained spike in electricity usage isolated to the basement around Elena's death. Nathaniel brought Lucy back. House number 43 looked more forbidding. Neighbors gave rehearsed answers. They knew or suspected, but chose silence, perhaps bribed or intimidated. On the ride back, Lucy whispered, I used to hear knocking from the basement, like Morse code. Tap, 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 tap. Richard said it was rats, and the notes, tiny folded, pushed under the door gap. I'd see a corner, a faint smudge of dirt or blood. Before I could grab it, Richard would snatch it away. Lucy, you're not crazy. If you're remembering those notes, we need to find a way down there. That afternoon, in the neglected park, they found Tommy. Lucy called Tommy. He flinched, ready to bolt. Nathaniel spoke calmly. Tommy, I just want to listen. About a box or a lady with blonde hair or sounds. Lucy took his grimy hand. Tommy, you don't have to be scared. He saw me. Tommy choked. Mr. Black, he saw me watching. He told me if I ever said anything, he'd make my mom disappear too. Like the other lady. The one with dark hair, like in Lucy's picture. The blonde lady. She used to give Mr. Black envelopes. Then he'd laugh. Nathaniel crouched. Tommy, he can't hurt you now. You could help save someone. Tommy looked at Lucy, then with a sob, shook his head and ran. I can't. He'll find me. That night, Nathaniel stared at a faded photo of himself and Elena. He'd even seen Elena fleetingly 5 years ago, hurried by Gloria. Had that been before Lucy's conviction was infectious? The clues were fragile, but he wouldn't give up. 2 agonizing months passed. Lucy lived at Nathaniel's, haunted by nightmares of her mother's voice. She'd slip away to Elena's old haunts, asking, Have you seen my mum, Eleanor Carter? She's not dead. People offered pity-gentle dismissals. On a gray Sunday morning at the cemetery, Richard appeared. You've got some goddamn nerve coming back here, you little demon. He shoved Lucy. She fell, her head striking a jagged stone. You're a mistake. I should have gotten rid of you. His hand flew up to strike again. Nathaniel grabbed his wrist, eyes blazing. You were about to hit a child, in front of what you claim is her mother's grave. Richard snarled. Who the hell are you, pretty boy, her knight in shining armor? She's a manipulative little liar, just like her mother. My mother warned me about bleeding hearts like you. Nathaniel's fist shot out, cracking Richard's jaw. Blood spurted. Richard laughed, a chillingly smug grin. That all you got? I've got lawyers. I've got my mother. Most importantly, I've got the death certificate. What the hell do you have, a delusional kid, a little trinket she found? He gestured vaguely towards Lucy and the butterfly bracelet she sometimes fiddled with. Nathaniel stepped closer. I have the truth, and as of today, I am Lucy Carter's legal guardian. You have no claim to her. Richard scoffed and stalked off. A rustle from the bushes. Tommy. Lucy called, Tommy, don't run. You saw him. Nathaniel spoke gently. Tommy, you saw what happened. If you're carrying something heavy, you don't have to carry it alone. Tommy slowly turned. Tears in his eyes, he nodded. Later in a bakery, Tommy spoke, trembling. One night, I saw Mr. Richard dragging a big heavy wooden box to the basement, lined with dark spongy material. I heard someone crying, a woman's voice, calling, Lucy. I saw him burning something small like a woman's purse in a barrel, a bright blue scarf sticking out like Lucy's mum always wore. Each word hit Nathaniel like a blow. Tommy's confession shattered Nathaniel's final restraint. Richard and Gloria were hiding something monstrous. Holloway's latest update detailed how Gloria had a strange, almost envious fascination with Nathaniel's own late wife years ago. Now it felt sinister. The following morning, Nathaniel and Holloway walked into the DA's office. Lisa Monroe presented her forensic analysis of the death certificate and the hospital irregularities. The assistant DA, Sarah Jennings, listened, her skepticism eroding. Nathaniel detailed the Project Nightingale payments linked to Richard Gloria and Dr. Marvin Gray. The body in the grave, Nathaniel stated. We need to exhume it. The exhumation order was granted. The DNA results 3 days later, the remains in Eleanor Carter's grave did not belong to Eleanor Carter. They belonged to an unidentified female dead from blunt force trauma. Detective Eric Bowman, initially dismissive, was now assigned, his resolve ignited. The search warrant for Richard Black's residence was signed. That crisp morning, Nathaniel, Lisa, Lucy, Detective Bowman, and 2 officers approached Richard Black's estate. Gloria Black opened the door, her features hardening. Detective Bowman, to what do we owe this dramatic visit? Her eyes, cold, flickered to Lucy with venom, then to Nathaniel with a chillingly familiar disdain he now recognized. Mr. Thornton, still pursuing your vendetta, dragging this unstable child into your fantasies, perhaps born of some lingering, misguided obsession. Nathaniel stepped forward. This is no fantasy, Gloria. We have a legal search warrant. A criminal investigation into Eleanor Carter's disappearance. We know about Dr. Gray Nightingale and the forged certificate. Lisa opened a folder, the forged certificate, missing hospital records, financial trails, DNA results. Detective Bowman addressed Gloria. Mrs. Black, I strongly advise cooperation. Gloria paled but remained composed. Outrageous, Elena is dead. My son was devastated. I handled the arrangements. This is a personal attack, Thornton, perhaps jealousy over Richard marrying her. Nathaniel's voice was sharp. Obsession, Gloria. Or was it your envy? The payments to Dr. Gray? Was that to spare Richard pain or orchestrate Eleanor's disappearance? You also hired him years ago to try and certify Elena as mentally unstable to build a case for Richard to gain custody, didn't you? This new information from Holloway pointed to a premeditated campaign. Lisa handed over records of Gloria's attempts to discredit Elena. These documents, Mrs. Black, demonstrate a clear, orchestrated pattern of malicious intent. Richard burst out, brandishing a tire iron. "Get away from my mother!" He lunged. Officers tackled him. "You'll never find her. She's gone." Gloria shrieked theatrically, but her eyes held cold calculation. "I met Detective Bowman a month ago," Nathaniel stated. "Then I had Lucy's memories photocopies Fragile Hope." He was skeptical. "But this time we returned with DNA bank receipts, forensic reports, Tommy's eyewitness account, and this." He produced the photo of Elena holding it beside Lucy. "I told Detective Bowman I had already lost a family. I would not let Lucy lose her mother." Gloria shouted, calling Lucy insane, but Lucy met her gaze unshaken. The search began. In the damp basement behind a new custom-built wine shelf, they found a section of freshly bricked-up wall, the mortar still newer than the surrounding stone. A heavy-duty drill roared. Brick by brick fell, revealing a crudely sealed concrete door. Cold, damp metallic air seeped out, mildew antiseptic, and something chillingly human. As final bricks were removed, a faint hissing was heard. "Gas!" an officer yelled, recoiling. "CO looks like jury-rigged pipe." They donned emergency respirators. The light from their flashlights, piercing the oppressive darkness, swept stained bare walls as the door was pried open. Inside, a windowless room. No light, no warmth. A narrow air vent, rusted metal flap for trays. Flickering flashlight beams illuminated faint, deliberate carvings on the wall. A child's face, a repeated butterfly, clusters of dots. Elena's desperate mental map to cling to sanity, to Lucy. Nathaniel entered first, Lisa and Bowman followed. Lucy, against protest, but with Bowman's nod, stayed at the doorway scanning. Then she tilted her head. "Mr. Nathaniel," she whispered, trembling, I hear something. Scratching, tapping. And there's paper stuck high in that vent crack." They pressed ears to the cold concrete. Faint fingernails, weak, scratching the far side. Tap, 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 soft. Paused, then more frantically. Lucy, with trembling fingers, pointed. An officer carefully retrieved a tiny folded paper smudged with dried blood. A single word, alive. Lucy whispered, Mom, are you there?" "It's me, Lucy. I got your note, I'm here." The tapping stopped. Then a new urgent rhythm replying. Nathaniel bellowed, "Get an axe through that inner wall now. Watch for traps." As they worked, a loose floorboard near the inner wall suddenly gave way under an officer's boot, revealing a shallow pit. Richard or Gloria's crude attempt at another deterrent. Each blow of the axe on the inner concrete partition, each crack of the sledgehammer pierced their ribs. Dust flew. A crack of light. They wrenched away the last chunk. And there she was, Elena, curled in a dark corner, skeletal skin, papery thin clothes tattered. The stench of decay, confinement, despair. Her eyes, sunken, haunted, slowly opened. For the first time in nearly 5 excruciating years, Elena Carter saw light. No sky, no trees. Just darkness, fear, and the messages scratched with broken fingernails. "Lucy, I'm alive. Mama loves you." Her fingernails were bloodied, worn. She clutched a tiny, sharpened piece of stone. She whispered, a dry, rasping ruin. "Lucy, my baby, is that you?" The walls bore witness, hundreds of faint messages. "Lucy, I'm alive. Lucy, I'm here. Gloria, you witch, you will pay." Lucy wailed, a torrent of anguish and relief rushing to her mother. "Mum, I found you, I knew it." Elena clung to her eyes, burning with love that had refused to die. Lisa Monroe collapsed. "My God, Elena." Detective Bowman Ashen turned away. Nathaniel stood frozen, eyes wet, a silent scream trapped. Nearly 5 years immured. Would you survive, fueled by a mother's indomitable spirit? What kept Elena alive? Fury. Lucy's face, boundless love. Richard hadn't just locked her away. He visited his shadow, a vulture, beating her, mocking her, fueled by Gloria's refrain that Elena needed to be taught her place. "You don't get to die, Elena," he'd snarl. "You get to lie here and remember." My mother agrees. One scream, and Lucy disappears. Elena survived because she had to. The tiny notes were her lifelines. Killing Elena outright meant scrutiny. Hiding her, immuring her, meant silence. The soundproofed room, the tampered air vent, the terrified housekeeper delivering meager meals threatened by Gloria. "Stay quiet or your family pays. Elena is sick, for her own good." Gloria told neighbors Elena had postpartum psychosis, was in a private facility. They suspected, many knew, but chose willful blindness. Gloria's resentment, exacerbated by Nathaniel's past kindness to Elena, festered into a monstrous desire to see Elena broken. Elena had been buried alive. The truth was out. The case exploded. Richard Black, arrested, denied everything. Elena, after intensive medical care, testified, her voice calm, steel, holding a blood-smudged note. The housekeeper, crying, confessed, "I knew. I was threatened." Neighbors, ashamed, admitted what they'd ignored. Tommy, frail but strong, testified. "I saw Mr. Richard, a coffin-like box, crying, the blue scarf burning. He threatened my ma, Assam." Lisa Monroe presented meticulous forensics DNA irregularities in the death certificate linked to Gloria's pressure on Dr. Gray and fraudulent use of Dr. Finch's identity, forged signatures, financial trails to the shell company, matching the soundproofing invoice. Nathaniel recounted the agonizing journey, his unwavering belief in Lucy. She was right. Those tiny notes were real. Her mother was fighting. Lucy, 10, radiating extraordinary composure, faced Richard and Gloria. "I'm not afraid of you anymore. My mom tried to reach me. I always knew." Elena stood fragile, but her eyes blazing. "I stayed silent for too long out of fear for my child." Gloria Black plotted my living death, driven by twisted envy, while her son carried out her vile wishes. Today I speak for every mother, every child forced into silence. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. Richard Black, life in prison, no parole. Gloria Black, life in prison, no parole. Her role in Project Nightingale and Elena's torment sealed her fate. Dr. Marvin Gray, 20 years, no parole. Witnesses received protection and support. Then Lisa Monroe revealed a final piece. "Your Honor, the unidentified body is Angela Ramirez, 19, reported missing 5 years ago, around Mrs. Carter's alleged death. The butterfly charm Lucy Carter found in Mr. Black's discarded effects matches one on a bracelet Angela wore. She filed a harassment complaint against Richard Black shortly before she disappeared. Surveillance shows Richard forcing her into his car that night. The blue scarf was likely Angela's. Richard had killed Angela, used her body for Elena's fake death, planting it in Elena's bogus grave. New charges for Richard kidnapping, second-degree murder of Angela Ramirez. The life sentence upheld. Angela's mother sobbed, "She has a name again." Do you see something, suspect something? Don't stay silent. Truth awaits someone brave enough to speak it. The courthouse doors closed. Elena, leaning on Nathaniel, stepped into weak sunlight. Lucy's eyes sparkled. On the way home, Nathaniel recounted every detail, including his fleeting, hesitant sighting of Elena years before Gloria's interference, fresh in his mind. "Lucy is extraordinarily brave," he said. "She has your heart." At Nathaniel's house now, their house, Lucy tucked a blanket over Elena on the sofa. That night, over chicken soup, Lucy chattered about drawing class. Nathaniel snuck extra chicken into Elena's bowl. Elena's eyes glistened the warmth of home safety love. After dinner, Elena and Nathaniel sat hands clasped around tea. "I had a family once," Nathaniel said quietly, recounting Sarah and Amelia's deaths. He showed an old photo, him and Elena teenagers. "I wrote you so many letters, Elena. Never had the courage to send them." Elena whispered, "Oh, Nathaniel. I had a huge crush. But Gloria, she spread such vile rumors about my father's business. We had to leave overnight." "Elena," Nathaniel said, "you are the strongest woman I know." He hesitated. "If you'll let me, I'd like to be Lucy's father. And, if you'll allow it, I'd like to call you my wife." Elena laughed, a watery, beautiful sound. "Are you sure?" "No," he said. "You're a mother who survived hell. You are and always have been the woman I never stopped loving. Lucy, she's a miracle. A second chance. You and Lucy, you're not a replacement. You're something new, precious. I want to protect it." Lucy stood in the doorway. "Dad," she asked, "can I call you Dad now?" Nathaniel's eyes overflowed. He opened his arms. Lucy ran into them. "Oh, Lucy, you can call me whatever you want." Elena watched, smiling. "So," she managed, "when did you two start calling each other that?" Lucy whispered, "He said I could a while ago. But today, I really felt like I had a dad." Elena's gaze met Nathaniel's. He nodded. They all laughed, pure, unadulterated joy. A gentle rain misted the window panes. 3 souls once lost found their way. They were a family. Can a shattered past give rise to beauty? Even wounded hearts find solace. Somewhere a Lucy finds her voice, and Elena rises, a Nathaniel hopes again. This family was reborn. Months later, Lucy Carter was a symbol of resilience. Elena recovered fragile but unbowed, finding solace in therapy, online forums, and Nathaniel's unwavering support. A significant breakthrough was watching a sunset from a skyscraper with Lucy, a victory over agoraphobia. Nathaniel officially adopted Lucy. At the press conference, he said, "I lost my wife Sarah and daughter Amelia. I thought joy ended. Then I met Lucy. She saved her mother, and she saved me. Elena and Lucy, they are my family." Lucy's notes of hope trended globally. Gloria Black died alone in a prison infirmary. Richard Black lived out his days in maximum security. Marvin Gray was disgraced. The Grace Foundation was established. Nathaniel, its quiet founder; Lucy, its honorary ambassador. Mission Legal Aid, safe housing therapy for abuse survivors. Operation Nightingale Uncaged. Its first international project rescued individuals from hidden captivity. The Manila 12 case, freeing a dozen women from a clandestine garment factory, led to new anti-trafficking laws in Southeast Asia. Motto: no one left in the dark, every note a lifeline. At the launch, Lucy spoke. "They said my mum was dead, but she lived. She fought. She sent notes of hope. No one has the right to extinguish hope or love or to stay silent. If I, a 10-year-old, could help bring my mother home, anyone can make a difference." Thunderous applause. In their city garden, Elena tended chrysanthemums. Lucy watered flowers. Nathaniel polished a photo frame, Sarah and Amelia. Elena touched his shoulder. "I clean this photo too," she whispered. "They're part of your heart." Nathaniel smiled. "And you and our Lucy are the part of my heart I never thought I'd have again. Reborn." 3 souls mended sat together. A family, whole, healed, home. Can beauty grow from pain? Can light pierce darkness if someone dares to believe? Morning sunlight filled the kitchen. Lucy 11 read at the breakfast bar. Nathaniel brewed coffee. Elena made strawberry jam. Life, a new chapter. Nightmares still came for Elena. but Nathaniel was her anchor. Lucy nightly whispered, "You're safe." The house, repainted ivory, bloomed with flower boxes. Lucy's drawings adorned the hallway. A wedding photo, Elena and Nathaniel, hung beside one of the three of them. We found each other's light. "Mum, why do our daisies bloom even when it gets cold?" Lucy asked. Elena smiled. "Because someone cares for them. Flowers like hearts keep fighting when they're loved, even after the hardest winter." Nathaniel hugged them. "And when someone believes in them, those flowers, those hearts, find new ways to bloom brighter than before." At Grace Foundation, Lucy volunteered, replying to letters from forgotten children. "I understand. I felt lost. But I found my mom and a dad who believed. Don't stop believing. Your voice matters." Her video journal entry: "Tonight, I think I heard my mom's voice. I found another tiny piece of paper. I'll keep looking." Went viral, inspiring Lucy's light reading corners in schools. Elena taught flower arrangement and healing journaling. Women found sanctuary. "I lived in a room with no light," she'd say. "Memories of my daughter, the tiny messages, kept me alive. If I at my weakest could rise, so can you." One woman, locked in a basement for 2 months, became a dedicated volunteer. Elena, the one who touches broken souls with petals of hope. Nathaniel, declining awards, funneled profits to the Grace Foundation, fighting injustice. "This is how I honor the family I lost. This is how I repay life's debt." Lucy and Elena showed me how to live. One cold winter night, watching Lucy's speech. "My mum is alive. That changed everything." "What is family, really?" Lucy asked. Elena stroked her hair. "The place your heart always comes home to, where your quietest whisper is heard." Snow fell. Lucy drew a heart on the frosted window. "Dad, can we bake cookies tomorrow, chocolate chip, like when Mum came home?" Nathaniel nodded. "Best idea I've heard all day." Their story: unwavering faith, unconditional love, indomitable courage. Are you Lucy, Ellen, and Nathaniel? Happiness does arrive. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. Just real enough not to abandon hope. Years passed. Lucy, 17, excelled in literature, social justice, captained debate, volunteered, preparing for a UN subcommittee speech for Operation Nightingale Uncaged. Some nights she remembered, if I hadn't spoken up, if Mr. Thornton hadn't believed, if Mom hadn't kept trying. But the past forged an unbreakable heart. The Grace Foundation thrived, internationally recognized, contributing to new legislation. Thousands rescued. One June afternoon, at the Foundation's anniversary, Lucy stood on stage. "Years ago, I was just a little girl. I had faith, and I met kind, brave people who believed with me. My mother was saved, my family made whole. To anyone in the dark, keep believing. Please, the light is waiting." A standing ovation. Elena, in the front row, hand in Nathaniel's, watched her daughter brimming with pride. Elena, healthier, radiant, her face glowing with inner peace, hand-wrote encouraging letters, enclosing pressed wildflowers. That evening, home, Lucy in her armchair read from a textbook on international human rights law. Elena prepared grilled cheese. Nathaniel adjusted a picture frame. "What are you drawing, sweetheart?" Elena asked. Lucy held up a sketch, 3 figures holding hands, walking through daisies towards a house with lights, glowing tiny fireflies lighting the path. "It's us, and our home light's always on, little helpers showing the way." Nathaniel hugged them. "That light, Lucy girl," he murmured, "that warm, welcoming light. We created it. Together." They sat at the oak dining table, sharing stories. Lucy recalled meeting Nathaniel. Elena laughed, covering her mouth, eyes shining. Nathaniel looked at them. She stood there, a tiny warrior, her eyes cut right through my walls, her fierce belief, saved me. Elena squeezed his hand. Lucy smiled. If you hadn't believed me, Dad, I don't think I ever would have found Mom. You were the first one who truly saw me. They watched the old news clip Lucy in court. I'm not afraid. I'm not alone. Elena rested her head on Nathaniel's shoulder. I survived. But if it weren't for you, Nathaniel, and our Lucy, I'm not sure I would have ever become whole. You two. You're why I'm still here. No more words. Invisible, unbreakable threads of healing love connection. Imperfectly scarred, they had chosen to heal together. If you've read this far, perhaps you too have known loss. Believe this love isn't just handed out. It's something you actively hold on to fight for. Stand among the ashes and declare, I still believe. Share this story. Let its message of hope travel. Somewhere another Lucy searches another, Elena needs a hand. Another Nathaniel learns to open his heart. We wish you peace. We wish you healing. Live, love, believe.